Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. I'm taking a break from looking at the classic Zzapped cover tapes this week because the latest issue of Zzapped Micro Action is about to arrive on doormats very soon, which means that the next Covermount is also available to download for Patreon supporters. Once again, there is a ton of stuff to look at here, no less than 8 different items, so I'm not going to waste too much time here on the intro. Taking the headline on the cover this issue is the amazing new version of Puzzle Bobble, which everybody with a Commodore 64 should download and try. It really is excellent. Now, let's proceed with the rest of the episode. First up is a game called Amarote. Now, some of you may be thinking, that rings a bell. Didn't that already come out? Well, yes, it did. The original version was released on the Spectrum back in 1987 and took place from an isometric perspective. When it came time to port the game over to the C64, the perspective was changed to top down, and when Zzapped reviewed this version back in the day, they really didn't like it, giving it a score of 39%. So now a bunch of people have come together to try and right that wrong by bringing over the original isometric version from the Speccy pretty much intact. While their intentions are noble, and I have no doubt there will be those with fond feelings for the old game, I don't think it plays very well and really could have done with more work to improve it. You take control of the Arachnus 4 walking tank and it is your task to patrol the various districts of the city, hunting down the gigantic flies that are laying waste to the buildings. You have a supply of 40 bombs with which to do this, and you earn dosh as you progress, allowing you to buy more. Your computer will be set to finding the flies by default, so you follow the arrows in order to hunt them down. Actually hitting them with the bomb is a lot harder than it should be for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the isometric viewpoint makes things rather tricky to line up. Then you have the arc and the bounce of your bomb, which can be difficult to judge. You will probably waste several bombs trying to get a feel for it. Finally, and most annoyingly, you can't fire another bomb until the first one has blown up, which can take an absolute age if you don't hit anything, and it bounces around. The game is also very sluggish unless you have an accelerated machine, and the monochrome visuals are rather hard on the eyes. I do think more work needed to be done in order to make this truly work on the C64, such as full colour visuals. As it is, it's an interesting concept which proves too frustrating to enjoy, at least for me. Initially, I wasn't having much fun with the second game either, which is Tootin Returns, based on an old game by Konami which I think I've played a little bit before on an MSX emulator. It's an arcade maze game where you have to seek out the key to get to the next stage while collecting treasure and avoiding various enemies, including snakes, bats, mummies and more. At first I was dying in seconds because you can only fire your weapon horizontally. I was being caught out by the enemies when I tried to move vertically, but eventually you learn to time your movements better to avoid them. It can still be quite tough though because there is a constant barrage of things trying to kill you. As you advance further, the number of keys needed to unlock the door will increase, but you can only carry one at a time, so you'll need to go all the way back for another one. I ended up really enjoying this and managed to get to stage 5 with a bit of practice. This version has 7 stages in total, which are all brand new and not lifted from the original. If you like arcade style games like this, then I really recommend it. Game number 3 is a demo of Starmada, a turn-based strategy game for up to 4 players, loosely based on an Amiga game called Nuclear War from 1989. On each turn you are presented with a number of options, such as building weapons to use against your opponents at a later date, or calling for an orgy to boost the population. Sometimes your decisions will go wrong though. For example, every so often when you choose the orgy option and Make Love Not War appears, hippies will dismantle your weapons instead of the population boost you were hoping for. So there is an element of risk and reward for each choice you make, based on a hidden dice roll. The idea is to wipe out the population of the other 3 planets before they can do the same to you. It's ultimately quite a simple concept that shouldn't take you too long to get a feel for, and I could see it being quite enjoyable if played in a party setting. The game comes with some attractive petsky graphics portraying the alien races, but it is completely lacking in sound effects. This version here isn't quite finished, the in-game manual hasn't been implemented yet, and there is no ending. Give it a go. After this comes a preview for a game called Sever the Wicked. This is another very simple idea. You have 24 seconds to lay waste to as many enemies as you can, with unbroken combos worth more points. When time runs out, your score is totted up and then you go again if you press the fire button. This preview just contains the one stage that loops over and over again, so it's not all that interesting after a while, but the finished version promises boss enemies that are worth more points, and I have no doubt that there'll be other surprises too. The visuals are a bit on the simple side, but the controls are nice and easy to pick up, and the game includes a great pulse-pounding soundtrack. One to keep an eye on, I think. Now then, Alf Ingve has been making games on the C64 for many years now and really knows how to get the most out of the shoot-'em-up construction kit. He has once again returned with a demo of his next project entitled Captain Ishtar. This is a very ambitious game that puts you in the cockpit of a starfighter with you blasting away at the bad guys with your crosshair. From what I've seen here, this game is going to be a lot of fun with some nice graphics, great music from another veteran, Richard Bayliss, and easy responsive controls. I do enjoy this sort of game on other platforms such as Star Fox on the SNES or N64. This is a bit more on rails than those games, but still a lot of fun from the evidence of this sample. Richard returns immediately with a second game called Tasered in the Crotch. I initially found the concept and the name a bit tacky, but it's all in good fun, no need to take it too seriously. Along the bottom of the screen you'll see a row of police officers, and you can use the joystick to change which one of them you are controlling. By pressing the fire button you shoot your taser in front of you, and the idea is to line yourself up with all of the escaping criminals and taser them before they can get to the other side of the screen. Every so often an innocent civilian will wander across. You don't want to taser these poor people. If you linger too long, the criminals will sometimes throw bombs as well, which can be shot down. If they hit you, you lose a life. If you let too many perps escape, shoot too many innocents, or lose all your lives, it's game over. Once you meet your quota of criminals for a stage, you proceed to the next one, which is even more frantic, with a stricter quota and more civvies to avoid. This is a really addictive arcade game which plays rather like an old shooting gallery, and I had a hard time putting it down. The visuals are cartoony and fun, and the action is accompanied by a really nice SID tune. Highly recommended. We're not done quite yet though, and the next game is quite a change of pace from the two before it. Gold Quest VI is a first-person procedurally generated dungeon crawler where you can control the entire thing just with a joystick and one button, and it works really well. This is another game that makes good use of Petski style graphics to portray the various creatures such as orcs, dwarves, fairies and more. It is good fun venturing down into the dungeon, investigating the many mysterious question marks to discover if they contain treasure, shop vendors or enemy encounters. The maps are fairly small, but they wrap around on the edges so they don't feel too claustrophobic. If you're a fan of games like Rogue, then Gold Quest VI could prove to be quite addictive to you. I was surprised just how well designed and accessible this is. It's another triumph for this issue. Finally, and not included in the readme with the rest of the games, is a teaser for the upcoming Zelda-style action RPG, Lycia: The Lost Island. I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. This teaser puts you in control of character Nathan and lets you explore a small environment where you can visit a couple of locations and solve some switch puzzles. This promises to be a big game with a full inventory system, again fully controllable with just a single button joystick. With Lycia, games like Gold Quest and the amazing Briley Witch Chronicles, it's never been a better time to be a fan of RPGs on the Commodore 64, as there is a style to cater for each individual taste. The full version of Lycia: The Lost Island is hopefully not too far away now. I can hardly wait. That concludes another episode of Covermount Chaos Zzapped, The Next Generation, and I have to say I think this was a particularly strong one. There are multiple games here that I'll be coming back and playing more of. Tasered in the Crotch, Gold Quest 6 and Tootin Returns. The other demos have done their job of getting me interested in the full releases as well. The only game I'm not really keen on here is Amarote. It's too clunky and slow and needed more work to make it an enjoyable game for 2022. If I had to pick a favourite, I'd probably go with Tasered this time. That brings this particular episode to a close though. Next week I'll have the 5th episode of Compilation Station 64, where I'm looking at Ocean's Hollywood collection, and the week after that I will be returning to the classic Zzapped cover tapes. I may have a couple of bonus videos soon too, as I'm off work for a week, but I'll have to see how much free time I end up having. Keep an eye on the channel just in case, and in the meantime, take care.